Today I have a couple of guests with me who really don't need any introduction, but I will introduce them anyway. My first guest is Duane Spires. He is the owner and CEO of MAST, which stands for Martial Arts Success Team. Okay, and my other guest is Master Melody Johnson. And she was the, I want to say, former owner or still the owner. I'm not sure how that goes with on the mat, because that's how I first met you. Okay, former owner of On the Mat Martial Arts, but now you have moved over to doing the skills program.
Yes.
And so she's the owner of a company called Just Skills. Okay, and we're going to talk about both of those companies later and what they do and how they're basically helping the martial arts industry to improve. So what we're going to do now is we're going to basically go into a brief introduction. And Duane, we'll start with you. And tell us who you are, where you're from, and how did you get started?
Awesome, yeah. Thanks for having me on.
Please, thank you.
Excited.
It's really awesome to see you again, by the way.
Absolutely, man. So my name is Duane. Like Joe had said, I own Martial Arts Success Team with my wife, Lauren Spires. And my journey starts back to, it's been decades.
It's been a while.
I started training in martial arts at like the end of 5th grade, going into 6th grade.
Wow, so you really, and what did you do first?
It's Taekwondo I started out in. And the reasoning behind it, and it was kind of interesting. I had always loved martial art movies. I was obsessed with like blood sport and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But that actually had nothing to do with me getting into martial arts other than just thinking it was cool. So what got me into martial arts actually was my mom.
Really?
Yeah.
How about that?
And in 6th grade, we went to a pretty rough school.
Okay.
Lots of bullying and lots of fighting.
Right.
And I was a small kid. So she's like, hey, there's a martial arts school down the street. I want you to try it out. And I literally remember walking into this Taekwondo school and just looking around, and I saw a couple black belts out on the floor, a bunch of kids. Actually, Chan Tatum, who's an actor in LA, he was one of the junior instructors there. Kind of funny. Used to spar that guy. Used to kick my ass.
That's funny how things just turn around and change. Yeah.
And so I remember going out there and doing a little intro lesson kind of in the corner of the dojo, learning a low block, front kick, front stance, basic stuff like that.
Nice.
And I was hooked, obsessed, hooked. I mean, I used to play baseball and soccer and football, and I immediately was like, I am done with this, like literally done now. This is all I want to do.
So you got hooked right from the get-go.
Instant.
It didn't take like a year or 6 months. Like you were in. That was it.
Literally within minutes. I was like, this is something I absolutely am.
So you were inspired from the very beginning, because I know for some people it takes them a little time. They're like, I'm not so sure about this. I don't know what But for you, it was from the very beginning.
Obsessed.
Very cool. Very cool.
For sure.
So we'll move on to you, Melody. So who you are, where you're from, and what got you started?
Well, as you know, my name is Melody Johnson, formerly known as Melody Schumann.
Right.
A lot of people may know my last name from the Little Ninja days.
Right.
I'm from New Orleans. Similar story in the sense that growing up in New Orleans, I got bullied a lot in school because I was really petite for my age.
Sure.
I loved sport and all those movies. Still watch it all the time. But
Die Hard, man.
That wasn't what got me into martial arts. I got kicked out of the second school in 2 years when I was in the 5th grade for just counter-attacking bullying with shenanigans.
Why couldn't she be in my school?
So my parents, by my child therapist's request, said put her in martial arts.
Okay, wow.
Straighten her out, and unlike Duane, I was not hooked at first. I hated it. Being a petite little girl, I was 11 at the time, back in 1987. So this will, show you where I started in my career.
Yeah.
It was the Dungeon Dojo days.
Okay.
So we trained with adults as well, and training side by side with a big sweaty guy with yellow armpits on his crusty white uniform back in the day before Century made the new uniforms that are breathable and all that stuff. I didn't like it, and I actually didn't like it until about a year into martial arts when I got to spar, and one of the kids who was bullying my brother and I around in class, I kicked him in the head really hard during a sparring match, and that was the one time my mother clapped for me in class, because normally she's like sitting straight, paying attention and yelling at me, and she jumped out of her chair and was like, yes, and I got points for kicking him in the head, and I was like, whoa, you get to kick boys in the head and you get points for it? And my mom's cheering for me. This is the coolest sport ever.
All right.
So that's really when I started to take a liking. I just liked hitting people, and because it helped me feel empowered and helped me feel a lot taller than
so
I
it really
am.
helped you with confidence. It helped you with just understand.
Confidence, anger management, aggression. Not that I had anger issues, but it got all that aggression out that I was feeling in school, being bullied. It helped me find an outlet to all the things that I was holding inside.
Of course, because a lot of times none of us know that we're actually holding that stuff anyway. And then you do something like martial arts and you realize, whoa, I've got some stuff in the basement that I didn't know was going on in there. But that's why I love martial arts so much, and that's why I think we all do, because it helps us maintain and keep those things at bay and deal with them and just get rid of them and just be a better person in society.
Absolutely.
And so what we'll do is we'll go into some of the questions that I have for you guys with the martial arts industry, the martial arts world, and things like that. So the first one has been the one that I've been asking for the last year, actually over a year now, since Casey and I have been traveling the United States. And of course, I get mixed answers, mixed reasons and things like that about this question. But I'm so intrigued by it because the more research I did on this question, just the more questions I got than answers. And so here's the question. Based on current research, and I shouldn't even say it's current, but it's semi-current research into the martial arts industry, is that approximately less than 3 to 5% of the entire population of the U.S. Participates in martial arts in any form now. And that's men, women, and children combined. And when I saw that, I was like, well, wait a minute. Martial arts has been here in the U.S. for a long time. And I just can't help but wondering, this thing that I'm so passionate about, that we are passionate about, why is it not getting that traction with American society that we would like it to? So could you guys give us any insight as to maybe why the percentages are so low, and what are some things that you think we could do to raise more participation?
Would you like to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first.
Okay.
One of the things, I think it's kind of more along the lines of like a cultural decision that we have in the U.S., because a lot of parents, when they have young children, like their default kind of thought process is, let's get my kid involved in some type of sport.
Okay.
And then it kind of leans more towards like, okay, well, if they're 3 or 4 years old, soccer, let's try that first. And then it kind of spans over and goes into like, baseball, basketball, football. Whereas martial arts has always been more of like a specialty,
Definitely,
like
I can
the
agree
kid
with that
has
one.
to express interest first before the parent goes, okay, yeah, let's shop for a martial arts school.
Right.
So I think that's one of the things that holds people back.
Okay.
And I think a second thing, just overall, if you look at the industry as a whole, is we work with a lot of schools. We've worked with like 300 schools across the U.S. and Canada, and one of the biggest areas of improvement is marketing. So I think that there's a breakdown in the average school owner's ability to get that message out into their local community.
I really agree with that after traveling. I can now.
And if they are trying to get their message out into the local community, it's not really that great.
Right.
So it's not compelling. It's not persuasive. It's not something that's going to get that mom or dad to go, hey, let's try martial arts. So we've seen some miracles happen. We've seen a lot of success with people that have improved their marketing and then subsequently have grown their schools.
Okay.
But, circling back around, I just think it's, USA, let's do team sports.
Okay.
And it doesn't have to be that way.
So you would definitely agree that there's a lack of education and sort of business prowess when it comes to the area of marketing and advertising, that maybe if more martial arts school owners and things like that took it a little bit more seriously as far as their education on marketing and advertising, that we might see a different or more of a positive change.
For sure.
And what I mean by positive change is that it's going to get out there more. More people are going to know. Because if we keep advertising the way we did in the 50s and 60s, that's probably not really congruent with how we should be advertising today.
Yeah, and, another example would be if you talk to a lot of school owners, they're quick to say, "Yeah, we do school talks.
Okay.
We do demos."
I have seen that. Yes, I have seen that.
And the truth is like the average school owner may do 1 or 2 school talks a year to just a handful of kids.
Okay.
But they could go so much bigger. They could get in front of the entire school, the entire community. They could do more events. And a lot of times we hear people say, oh, it's hard to get into the schools. And one of the things that I want to just educate parents on in general, anybody that's listening to this right now, is the schools want you to be partners with them. Like they need your help, they need your support, they need monetary donations, and there's a lot of ways that schools can partner up with elementary schools, middle schools, and high schools to really
Right.
spread the word about martial arts at a grassroots level,
Okay.
which will get more kids into training.
Hence, it would start to change that participation percentage over time.
For sure.
We would see that slow rise. Do you have any comments onto this as well?
Yeah, because marketing is on a fundamental level. Like fundamentally, if we got our marketing message better, and you follow people who know what they're doing and do the research like Duane,
Right.
you're going to get better results. You're going to get more exposure. You're going to get more students. But there's also another underlying factor in that, and it's ROI on their investment.
Return on investment. Okay.
So, for example, one of the reasons why other sports are so popular is because there's collegiate benefits. So if you're playing baseball, football, sports, there's potential
Right.
for scholarship.
Yeah.
So the ROI is there. Even though the ROI of martial arts is confidence and all that, martial arts saved my life. The parents don't see that.
Yeah.
The other ROI is career-wise, right? Which is the next step past college. So when you think about sports, you see all these athletes that are making a career out of the sport they're participating in. Really the only career you see being made out of martial arts is either being a martial arts school or instructor or
Right.
being into acting and so forth. So it's
Like
not
fighting.
really that,
Right.
that long term, that
Yes.
longevity of participation in martial arts.
Okay.
Because you take 10 parents and you say, I'm a martial arts instructor, and 9 out of those 10 parents are going to say, oh, I want to put my kid into that.
Yeah.
But they don't follow through because then they go in, they see the commitment, they see the price, they talk to their husband. The ROI
Okay.
is not really
They're not. It's not.
there.
It's not adding up.
So
yeah.
there's a missing link
Okay.
there when it comes to what's the long-term benefits of having my child in martial arts for an extended period of
Yeah,
time.
that needs to be articulated
Okay.
at such a higher level.
Okay.
Even like what we're talking about right now with this podcast.
Right.
Anybody who's listening to this that's considering martial arts, if you look at how much money companies invest in leadership training,
Yes.
if you look and ask parents of teenagers that are getting ready to go into college, it's like they pick certain colleges to set their children up for success and to get them into the right networks. Well, martial arts can do that for you without
Right.
having to do anything else crazy. So it's like, let's get these kids in the door early. If you're a parent who has a kid right now, it's like at least start considering martial arts as a possibility.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah. I got my first job at Disney World because I was a black belt, and they thought it was really cool. It looks good when you reach that level. But
Right.
also, again, going back to the ROI of the benefits that are overlooked, which is the confidence that I gain, or all the things that we discuss in our seminars where we talk about how we limit cortisol, which is a hormone that promotes stress, and then we talk about things about dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin.
That's right.
endorphins
Yes.
that are being
Yes. I'm
triggered
glad you brought that up
in a
because
good martial arts class. The problem is that there's, for every 10 martial arts schools that are teaching kids, maybe only one of that 10 is educated, which is probably
Yeah.
going to lead into one of your next questions.
it definitely is.
is
I'm
the
really
education
glad
on
that
the
you're.
martial arts
That's
instructor.
right. Yeah, and that's been. And it's funny because when we started traveling, I did not. I still don't know, but I had no idea what I was going to run into because I've been in Florida for 20 years, and so I've seen it all, and I've seen it over and over and over again. So you just kind of start to assume, well, this is probably the way it is everywhere. It's not, and so yeah, it's definitely something that's. It's just very intriguing to me as far as what you just said right there. And Duane, do you have anything to any insight on bouncing off of what she just said there?
I think that there's definitely something to be said when you look at, let's say if we take a cross-section of, 10 martial arts schools out of any state.
Right.
There's a lot of truth to what you said with regards to there might only be one of those schools that actually knows how to educate children at a high
Right.
level.
Oh my gosh.
Because there's certainly a difference between going in and practicing moves
Right.
and then learning proper mindset,
Right.
being coached correctly.
Right.
So when you find a good school, it's kind of a cross section. It's a combination of an instructor who is athletically capable, but
Right.
also they know how to coach children. They understand
Okay.
the
See,
psychology.
yeah, that's awesome that you just said that right there because I've gotten a lot of flack publicly for basically trying to tell the industry in sort of an overall arching way that look, we got to make sure that our instructors and teachers that are influencing these kids and adults are also physically and mentally and emotionally prepared to do the job.
Yes.
Well, so it's interesting also because you look at like baseball coaches, soccer coaches, and I like watch them sometimes work with kids, and I just want to
you want to cringe
there and put them through my skills university.
Yep.
You know, but they're doing it on a volunteer level or it's on a club level.
Sure.
You know, besides, and this is going to be a really thought-provoking concept, but besides dance and gymnastics, martial arts is the only other really commercialized sport out there.
Yeah.
You know, there's not really a commercial football program. There may be a few.
That's true. I didn't think about that.
But they're baseball, soccer. You know, you got soccer shots, but that's
Right.
just kind of like a very small little franchise. But
Yeah.
long term wise, taking the kid from where they are all the way to pro level, which martial arts
Right.
can do. We're commercialized, so we should have the best coaches. Because our business, our school depends on having
really does.
instruction, and they don't. It's a lot of times they really focus on the quality of the kick and the quality of the punches, and not necessarily the quality of their experience, which we'll get into as well.
Right.
Working with children, those factors, if they're addressed, that's going to have a huge influence in the next decade or two.
Right. Well, I really definitely appreciate both of those comments and those commentaries on that because, I mean, I know you've already seen a lot of this. I know you've seen a lot of this, Duane, and both you and Melody but a lot of people haven't.
Right.
You know, these school owners, these instructors, they have no idea. Like they don't. What I'm saying is, a lot of these instructors and school owners, they don't know where they land in the scheme of things. They don't know where they are on the spectrum. Like let's say we're talking high tier, mid tier, and low tier schools, and we just keep it really simple like that. They really don't know where they are. Everybody thinks they're on the high tier. And I think that's where that cognitive dissonance comes in, or the ego, or whatever you want to call it. I just think everybody wants to believe they're there, right? And I don't mind that because you have to have confidence in what you're doing. But if they ever discovered where they really were on that spectrum, I think their heads would spin. There's
nothing that defines the tier either.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And on top of commercial, we're not government regulated. So
Right.
anybody, any Joe Schmo,
right.
no pun intended.
That's okay.
Can open up a martial arts school down the road, but like dance and gymnastics, they have organizations that are government regulated organizations that they're responsible for answering to, and there's a bar that is set on the things that they have to have.
Okay.
And in the martial arts industry, what defines a successful school? Is it how much money you make? It's how much, is it your net worth? Is it how many trophies you have?
That's
it's
true.
how many
That's true.
your instructor to student ratio is.
Right, right.
It's all over the board. So
I
until
see.
that is defined,
Okay.
we're always going to be every martial arts school is going to be struggling to figure out,
Right.
what
And
is
you
best
bring
for
up a great point because whether you have you're a parent listening to this right now and you're shopping for your child or you're looking for a school to train at for yourself, regardless of the style or whatnot, I always suggest to people, go and try at least 2 or 3 different gyms or schools.
Yes.
See how they make you feel. Get to know who the instructor is. What is their why?
Yeah.
Are they a martial artist, or are they just somebody who stands in front of a class wearing a black belt talking?
Yes.
And there's a lot of this might rub people the wrong way, and it's not intended to be disrespectful in any way, but one of the things that bothers me personally with this industry is I see a lot of people who they don't practice what they preach.
Okay.
They're talking about let's have honor and integrity and lead these lives of health and fitness and let's be the best. But they haven't trained in years. They don't eat healthy. They don't exercise. They don't take care of themselves.
Right.
They're not expanding their mindset. They're not, they're not reading. They're basically doing the opposite of what they're trying to preach to their students. So I see that as a lack of integrity. And as you go from gym to gym or school to school, shopping around for yourself or your child, you're going to start to look at those things. Start to just at least have that on your radar as part of the criteria that's going to help you decide on where you want to join.
Would you both agree that it's probably a good idea, especially in today's internet age, we'll call it, that parents and clientele, they now have a tool at their disposal that we didn't have, 25 years ago, which is the internet. We can go on there and be our own advocate for school quality. And so I'm glad you brought that up because I've been trying to tell other school owners and instructors and whatnot that, if you're not going to do it, they're going to do it. And so if you're not going to stand by, like you just got done saying, they're basically they're saying one thing and doing another.
Right.
And if they keep it up, eventually the public is going to, if they haven't already figured it out.
Because consumers are becoming more educated.
Yes.
And
because they have their access to information
fact.
is so fast.
Right.
I mean,
there's what's the Facebook page? McDojo Life or whatever.
That's right.
Calling out schools and instructors every day, and it's humorous, and there's a lot of truth behind it.
Well, yeah,
there is.
In that way, it's detrimental to our industry for each other to criticize each other. But again, going back to, and that was great that you bring it up. If you're a parent, shopping for a martial arts school, to check out the different facilities, because it's just like a workout. You don't know which workout is gonna relate to you. You could join a gym, you could join a spinning group, you could do kickboxing, you could do yoga. I do Orange Theory. I fell in love with it right away.
Yeah.
That fit my
awesome.
It fit what my needs were. So being able to go in and find the facility that talks to you is going to be the facility that you want to choose, not the one that has the most trophies.
And here's the crazy part: we haven't even talked about styles.
Okay.
You see, we're just talking about the core foundation of the school itself and their vision and how they make you feel as a consumer. Right. So then you start to factor in this criteria of, okay, well, how do we select which style is right? You got to experience it.
Oh my gosh, that's so tough. I mean,
go out there and experience it.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm glad you brought up that point, which was go out there, since we do have all these systems and styles and arts, go out there and put your foot in each one, and then make an educated decision afterwards, not just because it's the closest school or the cheapest school. And I feel like one of the reasons why we are here today is because a lot of the parents and clientele out there, it's the closest school or the cheapest school.
Yes.
And and I can already see the con to that, as far as for the industry and for the parent. And it's another thing I want to help them to understand, which is if it's an extra 10 minutes away or 20 minutes away, but man, the prices might be a little different, but the quality's through the roof. Well, obviously, it should be a no-brainer.
The value's there.
The value is.
And that's why you go back to, we live in a generation where we can self-educate ourselves. So you can go on social media, check out their Facebook page.
Absolutely.
Does their Facebook page have a bunch of kids all looking unhappy and miserable, or are they sitting there thumbs up,
that's right.
I'm pumped up?
That's right.
Does those images, which one speaks with you best as a parent? What are you looking for? If you're a parent shopping for your kid, for example, which ones best speak to you?
Awesome.